When did you start playing soccer?
I've probably been playing soccer for as long as I can remember. So I think maybe when I was 5 or 6 years old.
Where did you play high school and college soccer?
I grew up west of Philadelphia, so I played for a team called Conestoga High School, and then ended up going to Dartmouth College in New Hampshire because I also actually loved ski racing. So my first dream was to be an Olympic ski racer.
When did you first believe that you could make it into the pros?
Somewhere middle of my senior season, one of my teammates said, "Hey, did you hear there's going to be a professional soccer league for women starting next year?" And she's like, "You should probably do that."
How were you first notified that you'd made the United States national team?
It's a long, long process. It actually happened after I'd played 3 years professionally. And our first pro league, the WSA, actually went out of business. And I had moved out to Colorado for the winter, was coaching ski racing, trying to figure out what to do with my life now that I had to get a real job. And right before New Year's, 2003, I got a phone call from one of the national team coaches saying, "Hey, we're gonna, bring you in for a tryout in 2 weeks."
How did it feel to represent your country in a renowned sporting competition?
There is, nothing like playing in the Olympics or even being part of that. And the cool part about the Olympics is it's not just your sport versus a World Cup. So the whole atmosphere of it is amazing and overwhelming, and something that, as a youth athlete, I just grew up admiring Olympians so much, and to be there in the same place with everyone was amazing. 2004 was also the last year that a bunch of the more famous players were going to be on the team, and we felt a lot of pressure from them because they really wanted to go out on top.
What did winning the Olympics mean to you?
Going to the Olympics it's a very humbling experience almost. It's just so much bigger than you, and bigger than anything you can imagine. And I think back to, standing on the medal stand. My friends that saw it on TV and saw pictures of me said they've just never seen me smile that big. We had worked so hard, all of us individually, but also all of us as a team to get there.
What was the atmosphere like when the final whistle blew?
It was, we actually won in overtime, 2-1 against Brazil. And I think Brazil had hit the post maybe once or twice. And so everything was on a knife's edge. And I didn't really know what I was supposed to do, but I just remember running across the field. We all hugged and jumped up and down. And then I ran across to the other side of the field where there were a bunch of American fans right at midfield, and I grabbed an American flag from someone, but I ended up taking it and I just draped the flag around my shoulders, and we just kept running, doing laps around the field. I just had this endless energy.
Are you still in touch with some of the players from the team?
A little bit. I probably have not been staying in touch with as many of them as I should. I do know a handful of the women. Unfortunately, I'm just now at the age where the last people that I played with that were on the younger side when I finished up are retiring. But I'm still a huge fan. I went up to the Women's World Cup final. Then I followed the men's team pretty closely as well. Unfortunately, they were a little disappointing this year. So hopefully this will be, a bit of a turnaround year for them.
What was the hardest thing you had to do within your soccer career?
One of the hardest things that I've had to do was probably going from being retired to getting myself up to the level of fitness that's required. I showed up to the tryouts and they said, "You were right. You're not quite where we want you to be." So they said, "We're going to let you go home for a couple months and come back in here and show us, that you've committed to this." But it completely paid off when I kind of arrived back, for the next camp, and just dominated all the fitness tests.
Do you have any advice for kids that want to be just like you?
My only advice to youth players is just enjoy yourself. I mean, if you're enjoying yourself, you're going to be working hard.
How do you feel about the recent controversy regarding women's soccer players who are refusing to play in tournaments because of pay inequality?
It's not always apples and oranges comparing the men's game and the women's game. Men are the uber wealthy, most wealthy people in society, and women in many countries who are trying to play for their national teams aren't making enough money to even barely live on. So I do think there's some level of responsibility from national team programs, because ultimately, if they want their team to be able to compete on the world stage, their women need to have the ability to play like a professional athlete.